Oh, you look lovely as always. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Quinn said I up and did it, so I changed like 4 times. So Tonya, I actually wore the white head wrap and all that in honor of of purity and of clarity and protection, and kept my head wrapped and everything like that for you. So
I appreciate it, but you did not have to do that because there ain't nothing pure on this side of town.
That's not true. I am absolutely pure. That's on Tonya's side in Lynna, because we're in Texas.
Look, don't make me blackmail. I might have to pull out some pictures of somebody in a red dress with her thighs showing in New Orleans.
Oh, I already know. I already know they call her the Black Bonnet Witch for a reason. They call Twin the Black Bonnet Witch for a reason, yo. Because she up and does
it. Do not throw me out there. Oh my goodness.
And Lynna in the shadows. I'm not even gonna mess with Lynna. Lynna in the shadows. So we're gonna leave her in the shadows.
Right? I actually thought that something a moment ago. I thought, okay, it's the setup on the phone, or is it my camera, or what the fuck is? Oh, sorry YouTube, sorry world. I thought something was wrong with my thing. I was like, what's going on here? But it's Lynna is in the shadows this evening, everyone. She bought her darker side. Yeah, she wanted to cut her darker side. Must have. Mm-hmm. Y'all know her darker side has to come out and play.
Oh, I like it.
Hold on, let me get my
Okay, wait a minute. What did Lynna say?
So we're live.
I said, let me get my voodoo dolls.
My darker side.
So we are live, and so I know, like everybody else, I'm so excited to have you here, Mr. Conjure Man, Mr. Rootworker, Mr. Reader, Diviner,
yes, ma'am.
Worker.
Yes, ma'am.
You do it all, and you do it so humbly. You know, you don't put yourself out there a lot. You really don't even talk about yourself a lot. You're a very humble and very kind-hearted person. So it's just a blessing to have you here to even share your energy. So thank you for being here tonight.
Don't give me my.
Okay, I love all 3 of you all so much, and I'm very close to all 3 of you, and you know this. So don't get me my feelings, because y'all know I'm sensitive. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for the accolades. I must say special shout outs to all of you all, because y'all been killing it. You've been killing it. Your interview the other night with the table talk on the Collegium of Arcane Studies was so on point. You addressed so many things and that sort of time randomly, sporadically, because that's how we roll. So, and it was so adequate and so poignant. So congratulations to all of you all, because it was so amazing. You all are amazing. I'm the one that is blessed to be in such great company.
You're so humble. Yes, it's crazy though. Like, you need to give yourself props for all the things that you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, I must say, Tonya is right. If I do say so myself, Mambo Tonya, my lovely sister over here, my lovely twin. Gosh, you all are beautiful. I'm so humbled. Anyway, Tonya's right. I do a wide variety of things, and I have for a very, very long time. If I may say so. I know this is random. Y'all said just go with the flow. I was like, can we script a little bit? Can you give me a leadway to something, that I'm going to be talking about? No.
It's all about you. Whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, that's too sweet, Tonya. Thank you so much. I'm sorry there's an emergency. People, like 3 people in the last 10 minutes have messaged me about emergencies. I said, y'all's emergencies right now got to wait. You got to wait. You could drop them Cash App links. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the middle of some shit. So anyhow, I must say that this truly being a root worker and being a conjurer man for myself is really truly is, and not to sound cliche and not to be redundant or anything such as that, But with myself, it really is truly roots. It is within the roots. It is within the blood. Um, I come from a long line of Appalachian conjure workers. So, and I know a lot of the times it's a catchphrase now with a lot of the new school bullshit. I call it the new school bullshit. A lot of the new people that are jumping on looking at conjure, this is a fad, or this is a phase, or the latest craze. Just perhaps as all you all are aware of, like Wicca was back in what, the late '90s, early 2000s. It was this whole big, the leading new religion, and all of that. So, no, not here. I'm old school. I'm old school. I've been doing this a really long time, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity and to be. Not everyone is blessed to be able to do actually as a profession what they're born to do and what they love to do at the same time. So I'm actually quite blessed to be able to do what I love to do and what, if I do say so myself, that I'm good at as well. So no pun intended. Actually, Tonya, I started. I remember studying the occult per se when literally like when I was 7, 8 years old. I've had the love and the interest of magic and spirituality ever since I was literally born. Simultaneously, at the same time, honestly, that's about the time that I also knew right away that I was different. Different meaning perhaps the fact that I had the ability to see things that other people couldn't see, to feel things as deeply as I do. I remember vividly having many experiences as a child with earthbound spirits, ghosts, and what have you, and to be able to see those that have passed over, and simultaneously as well, I was raised with Appalachian Conjure. So it all has been my entire life. My entire life. I really particularly started wholeheartedly as an adult when I was 18. When I was about 18 years old, especially when I was 20, I had moved to Miami, Florida, and I found myself in the middle of several botanicas and spiritual supply stores, which definitely helped my growth as far as a practitioner. First, I've always practiced conjure, but I've always also practiced traditional witchcraft. And as you all know, my latest real love, particularly devoted to conjure and more or less ATRs since 2012 or so. Not to say that I don't no longer practice traditional witchcraft, but my primary focus is conjure root work. So long history, and I've been doing professional. I've been reading since I was a kid. So cards, poems. I picked palmistry probably up in. I remember doing my first official palm reading in '98. It's a crazy story that how this occurred because, as I mentioned, moving to Miami, actually, the thing is that I had my first reading when I was 20. I call it not to be like stereotypical or like the normatic version of what a gypsy woman is or anything like that, but I had a reading when I was 20, and even us as we are and doing what we do, I think all of us, knowing you well enough to say this, even us sometimes, we're still all a little skeptical. You have to be. So I want you to know that every single thing that the lady predicted unfolded. And so that point on, she had said to me that I would be a gifted reader, and that would be putting myself out there at one point or another and be more well known. I shook my head. I said, hell no. Hell to the no. This lady, what the fuck, like this lady lost her mind. But within a year, every single bit unfolded, and wow, what a journey it's been. What a journey.
I think that's a good thing. I know because you did take a break. You and I talked about that. You took a break, and then you decided to come back on the scene.
Yes,
I know when we were talking, you were like, "This is a little different. She, you know, it's a little overwhelming. What's going on?" So, how do you feel now that you're back on the scene? Have you like gotten back into it? You feel a little bit more like?
I appreciate that question, and I did absolutely. I do take little sporadic breaks. And I'll tell you truthfully, random question. I'll do the very best that I can. I'll tell you honestly and truthfully, as always, as I am. The thing is yes, I feel a little bit more comfortable than I did. I mean, obviously, you all host several things. We do readings, we do lives, we do several things and whatnot. And all of us are aware of things, perhaps in the broader, I hate the word community, but let me say community and whatnot. So at the end of the day, it's just I determined after a lot of prayer and a lot of meditation and spiritual work that you know it's really your choice on how you respond to things, and I chose to look at things as still most people are like actually leaves on a tree to blow away with the seasons, right? And then we have very few roots in our lives, and at this point I just choose to be blessed and look at things in a positive manner for the roots that stay in my life.
I think that's a healthy
Look
way
at Sophie.
to look at it.
Hi, Sophie. Hi, Sophie.
Sophie always has to make an appearance. I think.
Yes. Mine's rubbing my feet. Mine's rubbing my feet. I told him he ain't making an appearance right now.
Let him make an appearance. That might be Sophie's husband or something in the future. You see him blocking on here. Let him make an appearance. But I was gonna say, I think when it comes to the community, especially when you talk about spiritual community, if you've been out of the loop for a while, people come back and expect the love and light aspect of the community. And what you may be seeing now is that it's not so love and light, because there is a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of chaotic energy that's going on. And for somebody sensitive like you, how are you navigating it? Because I know I tend to be a little bit like, you know what, them food's crazy. I ain't got nothing to do with that bullshit. I'm going to go eat me a cupcake. That's my way of handling stuff. But I know that you're a lot more sensitive. So how are you dealing with a lot of...
Mambo, you are pretty sensitive as well. All of us are. So thank you for the accolade. But I'm very sensitive. You're right. So I think to answer your question is, of course, due to advice from you, Shishi, Lynna, and if I do say so, my mentor, Mama Star, spiritual cleansings are a necessity, and to absolutely keep up on the spiritual cleansings is imperative, I think, more than ever at the moment, because being so sensitive and truly empathic, not the coin phrase or the catchphrase or anything like that, it's too common now. Actually, back in the day, I really believe that clairsentient was the rarest of the gifts. It really was. You didn't hear the term back then that you hear thrown around now. You really didn't. So, but I think spiritual cleansings, and as well as you have to really, a wise person will sit back and really discern and again choose which battles really are worth fighting. And I've had folks, message me randomly, or I've had incidences to where people have, I'm not going to drop no names for the world, or whatever, at the moment. But anyway, what I'm saying is that it's primarily I make the choice to which battles to fight. I make the choice on what to focus my energy on, and I believe any wise person that walks any spiritual tradition or any spiritual path also needs to develop making listening to their spiritual discernment, their intuition, and choosing carefully where to per se put their energy, their time, and their effort.
I think that's really a smart thing to do, and I think that's been the message this year: is choose your battles wisely.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
everything that's going on, and like you say, you're right. Empath wasn't the expression, because I started reading when I was 16, and people didn't throw the phrase around because now everybody's an empath. Everybody has that gift, and a lot of people don't realize that you can have empathy for somebody. You can be a compassionate person, but it doesn't make you an empath. There's sometimes a different energy that goes along with it. I will say that you are 100% a true empath. You are. Because you pick up on so much. When the world hurts, you tend to hurt.
I absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's nothing wrong with it. Actually, to me, it's a beautiful thing. When you figure out how to balance it, it actually is. It can be heavy. It can be heavy, but it is a beautiful thing.
It's true. Yes, I know, like, you and I have talked about so many things, Rob, where we're like, oh, this is crazy. Like, look what's happening. And it can be overwhelming, but it can also truly, like Tonya said, be a great gift. But it also allows you to be able to connect with people on a deeper level that a lot of other people are not able to connect with them on.
Yes.
So I commend you because you try to help everybody. You have such a good soul.
Thank you so much.
A huge heart. Absolutely huge heart.
Now, when did you
stop?
Because I know they're gonna make you turn red, and then we're gonna have to be on here the whole time with you trying to get your color back. So, when did you get into palmistry? Because I didn't know you did. I really didn't know you read palms.
You said that's how you started out. Yeah, the first one, right?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. I promised Tonya I wouldn't say that. I'll try not to say ma'am, y'all. Y'all know it's a Southern thing. Anyhow, so I was raised. It's the way I was raised. So, sisters.
I don't want the old lady title yet. I'm not ready for it.
Oh, that's right.
But it's good manners, though. It's good manners, so it's nice.
Wait, how old are you?
Thank you. 43. In English, the 43. 43.
You don't get to call me man.
Oh, I was like, look, he's breaking it down in Spanish. I was going to have to go through my Spanish and count.
I know. That's what I thought he said. I was like, you're older than me. You can't call me man.
Yeah, y'all know how I roll. You all know how I roll. The Spanish, sometimes it just comes out like I'm like, oh, I'm speaking Spanish again. I better translate. It happens a lot. I think sometimes as well when I get a little bit of nervousness going on, I speak a lot of Spanish. So, but I speak French too. So, je parle français muy bien. So, yes, ma'am. See, mon chéri. So,
Lord, I know you was in Miami cutting up, speaking Spanish and French. Oh my God, I know.
Yes. To answer Tonya's question, I can sit here and talk to you all night, and because we're fam and everything. And to answer Tonya's question, actually, palmistry, to be quite honest and technically speaking, palmistry is not the first form of divination, though, that I ever really practiced, if I may. Like I used to read a lot as a child as well, like just with intuition, with being a medium, and with being able to see the dead and seeing ghosts and dealing with spirits my entire life. So honestly, I used to get a lot of visions. I should have looked up the technical words, but of course this is random. So I can't think, maybe you all know it right off the top. But I used to get a lot of vision with clairvoyance through water, through smoke, through anything reflective as well, and dreams. majorly within dreams, seeing things before they happened, and it's severe. It's really intense still. As well as so 97, 98 is when I remember doing my first official palm reading in Miami in 1998, and I was 20 or 21. Yeah. So long history, a really long history of divination, and as well as being a conjure worker and traditional witch.
What is
And
your
now,
favorite divination?
what is my favorite? What?
What is your favorite form of divination? What do you
My
prefer?
favorite form. I have to tell you, we're all excellent. We're all excellent. All four of us are excellent at reading cards, and I, amongst the three of you lovely goddesses, I love cards. I absolutely really do love reading tarot and oracle and things like that. Now, I have to say though that I am currently learning to I maybe as soon as I started to learn, as soon as I had my bones read, I had a somebody throw the bones for me and do a reading at an event that I also co-presented in 2015, which was the Circle Quest, where in Southern Indiana they had never had, believe it or not, make a long story short, they had never had anyone do any workshops, and this had national draws like Oberonville and a few other folks that were really well known, big time. For a decade, it went on, and they had never had any ATRs. They had never had anybody do a workshop. So I was honored and privileged to do a workshop, and the first ever for Conjure and Hoodoo. So there I had my first bone reading, and ever since, throwing bones, it's a close second. If oh my,
I'm like,
okay,
what
are
is
we still here?
I know. What happened?
Hello.
I thought it was yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good.
Another. I'm sorry, ladies. People choose inappropriate times to have 911 emergencies.
It's all good.
Tonight it must be. I don't know. It's past the full moon. I don't know what's going on. My shit's been blowing up for 2 hours. People in the 911 tonight, y'all. They're in the 911.
They know you're busy.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So you're into bone readings now. So you're gonna start bone readings, perhaps?
Yes, yes, I am into bone readings now. Absolutely. And I mean, I'm not comfortable enough yet to per se throw bones on like alive. I don't know. I'm still I'm very much so, which Tonya, don't get me, Tonya. Please don't get me right now, Tonya. Anyway, the thing is Tonya, twin, you too. Y'all say, Rob, you're too hard on yourself. So being so hard, I'm a Virgo. Come on, y'all know how Virgos roll. I mean,
Perfectionist.
I'm a damn perfectionist, and if it's not, certain things are not perfect, it'll drive me literally like. So I'm hard on myself about it. So I'm not to the point to where that I feel comfortable like throwing bones for somebody else or on a live or something. But yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love bone readings. It brings out a whole other um uh when you can't find clarity, a definite clarity. I find it through the bone readings that it's without a doubt the absolute clarity that you're seeking, either per se for yourself, shit that you don't necessarily want to know or hear. Seriously, sometimes I'm blindsided and spirit has jokes and spirit tells you straight up. Spirit will tell you straight up things that I'm like, oh, what? I didn't necessarily want to acknowledge it or see that or anything such as that. So yeah, yeah, it's serious. As well as with cards, I must say as well that I've had my cards read so many times over the years, and as a reader as well, that honestly, uh, playing cards, regular playing cards, I have found that that is something that I've just recently picked up. Maybe I've had my cards read with regular playing cards, but as far as a reader, I have just recently started to read with regular playing cards. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Talking about real true devotion, and as far as absolute clarity speaking, uh, Mama Star's deck, Mama Star's deck, the Ancestors Speak deck. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mama Star sent me these, and she had promised me that when I couldn't find clarity, of course she calls me darling. Big shout outs and congratulations to Mama Star tonight on your initiation today. By the way, and so Mama Star calls me darling, and so when she calls me darling, she promised me that she says Rob. She tells me she says Rob, when you can't get that clarity, darling, through anything else, I promise those cards is gonna work for you. I promise those cards is gonna bring you that clarity, and I'm telling you all, she had that touch on those cards. She put that mojo on those cards. She really did, because again, just like with the bones, that particular set, it is mind blowing. It is absolutely incomparable. I mean, I'm honored. I really am honored. It's amazing. It's
Mama
amazing.
prays over everything. Like, she's old school. So anything
Yeah,
that leaves her house has a prayer. Like, she's not one of these people that mixes colored water and throws in some leaves and ships it out. She literally works all her products. If you've ever been around her, she will pray over everything before you get it. Especially in individual. You might get a different prayer than what I get.
yes,
And that's just the way she is as a root worker. And I've had the privilege of being at her house where people still come to her. Like, they may not have the money, so they'll bring her food. Or they may not have
yes,
the money, so they'll bring her a rooster or a chicken or something like that. And that's how old root workers used to work. There was none of this
absolutely.
have me or whatever.
Yes,
Back to,
absolutely.
yeah.
That's absolutely correct. And Mama Star she was raised in South Carolina, but she was born here in Kentucky, and in the same county as where my mom's side of the family actually resides. So it's quite thrilling the way that Spirit lays things out like that as well. That certain people would come in your life mentor wise and what have you, that I believe truly that Spirit placed the correct people are there at that particular time. The ancestors really bless you and walk with you, and and absolutely align that bondo ola mare, you know um definitely align things like that. I absolutely love the fact as well that those individual prayers that you spoke of, it's that is the true way of essence of root work back in the day, old school, because again, me
Yeah.
being raised with Appalachian Conjure, and my grandmother's sisters, the last of which just recently passed a couple months ago. My great aunt, my last elder really living, passed a couple months ago, and
I'm
as to the
sorry.
point of her passing, she would honestly still share secrets orally that her mother, who was a root worker, and her grandmother, the whole line. And so I was very honored and privileged. Um, and as a kid, I mean, some of the things I was like, what the fuck is happening here? What is going on? Because I remember people also taking it out bartering, like you were talking about, like with Mama Star, like they would barter, and things like that. And the thing is that
hi Chaz, hi everybody, and that they would barter. For instance, I remember once this man coming and he showed up out of nowhere and it was a frenzy. It was crazy. I was like really young too, and I was hanging out, with distant kin, um, meaning like second, third cousins. My grandma's sister's grandkids and what have you. So we were all really tight. And here comes this man, and I'm telling you what, he was messed up. He was messed up. Somebody already laid something on him. He kept saying somebody already did something to him. Somebody already put a trick on him, like a powder in his yard. And for some reason, I remember they aimed for his work. I remember they aimed to close his doors with work, and they affected his. Oh, okay, they affected his arm. So here they practiced being part Native American. They practiced a lot of what we would call white medicine, you know, as well. Being from a Cherokee line and a Dutch line in Appalachia, they practiced a lot of. I'm a two-headed root worker, and so were they, but they practiced a lot, primarily morally or ethically, particularly my elders, as far as white medicine. So um, they
Now, what is
they
white medicine for people who don't know? Who may
white
not
medicine, for those that may not know, it would depend culturally from tribe to tribe. Basically, from a Native American standpoint, white medicine is, let's say, per instance, and I mean, Tonya, I've heard you actually, Shishi, maybe you as well, speak about this before. Per se, white medicine, it actually, honestly, Mambo, you know this very well yourself, being a Mambo and initiated as an ATR. It would be comparatively speaking, white medicine in a Native American term would be comparatively speaking to white medicine, like if you were to make like cascarilla powder and compare it to like chalk that you would coming from the earth, and then eggs are sacred to Obatala. So wisdom and the white medicine would be on the more healing aspects of
right?
of
Okay,
things. So the white medicine, like for instance, there's a proper ritual. Again, like with smudging, I see people do this commonly, mistakenly all the time. Smudging with this white sage that isn't done properly according to a lot of Native American traditions or the way that I actually was taught either as a child. And so because it's medicine, and actually an herb has a spirit, the roots have spirits, they also chose you. So the whole procedure would be the sweetgrass, tobacco, cedar, and white sage for medicines, and then in the order of which that you would burn them and the way that you would work them actually is part of that particular cultural aspect and component, which is passed down oral. So yes, ma'am. So anyway, the white medicine. I remember back to the man. So I remember the man coming and his arm was affected, and man, they did the strangest. I was like, what is this? What is going on today? And anytime that we were to ask questions, we were told specifically, as I'm sure you all were told specifically, being your beautiful souls, we were told specifically. My grandmother always called me Little Robbie, so she would often tell me, Little Robbie, be quiet and listen. Speak ye little, listen much. As they would say, right, with modern Wicca. So that's so true in many ways. We would learn by listening orally and be reprimanded otherwise. So the man, so they got lard, believe it or not. It stunk. Oh, oh, it was crazy. I was like, and then they put fuel on it. It was some kind of fuel and lard. They got sticks from the yard, and they put this they made it into ash and put the ashes and the lard and the fuel on the man's arm. The man's arm was all messed up. Man, he walked out like a brand new man. 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, he was smiling and singing and walked out like a brand new person. Of course, they chanted as well, prayers with prayers and stuff. And And particularly speaking about Appalachia, if I may, one of the things that you find, I think, in Appalachian conjure, more or less per se, versus deeper Southern hoodoo, is things such as the cultural components are very important. It's not just like Southern hoodoo. It's just not like about laying the tricks or knowing, reversals and everything. It's the cultural component, which I fear sometimes nowadays is close to being lost. Certain things are so important that everybody focuses primarily now on laying tricks or learning the spells. And conjure, we call it, you all know, Tonya, we call it Shishi. Lynna, she's still black tonight too, y'all.
Oh,
Anyway, look,
was on
yeah.
the book.
So what the fuck where Lynna at? Anyway, uh, so the thing is that the cultural components is what I fear that is being lost. Is what I fear that is being lost, because certain things like like what Bible verses would be. My great aunt had a reputation, and people would come for healing and to stop bleeding and burns. So the um the Bible verse on how to stop bleeding and the procedure for that, and or the cultural components are certain things like the changing of seasons and what would be the spiritual meaning behind, let's say, seasonal changes like locust winter or Indian summers, or all that is spiritual and has a component as well. It's really deep.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry, because you're saying, how you had to learn all these things orally, but have you thought about it just for your future family members who may want to be practicing? Have you decided to write it down yet? Because that could be your family's knowledge, and you don't want that lost either.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I actually have written it down a little bit, as well. At this point, due to prophecy, primarily, just keeping it 100% honestly real, due to prophecy, due to dreams, and graveyard work, a lot of graveyard work. Oh, I work the damn graveyard a lot. You should see the people. You should see the local people too. Oh my goodness. And so, and so, anyway, due to prophecy and things, at this point, I'm just so particular about whom that I actually, in family wise, or maybe, family ain't always blood. So
Right.
maybe particularly if I found the correct soul that I would entrust fully with sacred, especially lineage, as far as lineage knowledge has been passed orally. I'm just very particular personally about whom hands that could fall into, because used the wrong way, anything's dangerous.
Correct.
Anything's dangerous, and I feel an obligation. I feel an obligation to the ancestors, my personal ancestors, and the ancestors of Conjure, to make
Absolutely.
sure that I would be 100% without a doubt in the position to where that would fall in the correct capacity.
I agree
totally,
with you. I don't think you can share everything with everyone.
No,
My
no,
Papa
it's
Samuel
no,
will
it's
always tell you, I have taught you everything you know, but I haven't taught you everything I know. Which means you say,
yes,
try me if you want to, because you don't know all the tricks and secrets until he's ready to pass that on, and he may not ever be ready to pass that on. I remember growing up, and my grandmother had a big jar of lard, and lard was it back in the days. Lard, you could mix lard with sulfur, you could mix lard with graveyard,
yes,
you can mix lard with anything and make it work.
yes,
She had a big jar, and what she would do is when the soap got real little, because of course they were making it out of lard back in the days, we're blessed if we still here because we had lard and ammonia baths, all kinds of crazy shit. You know, we have germs that bounce off of us that these kids nowadays, they can't even deflect because we went through some.
That's right.
But it is definitely things like Shishi is saying down that are, you're fortunate that were passed down. A lot of us don't have grandparents that taught. My grandmother didn't teach. What we did was chores. It never was a lesson. It was like, okay, you need to sweep the front yard, and then you need to throw your ammonia water out and clear the passage. That was a part of the chore. We didn't think that, it was about protection or anything.
Right.
Well, I think
and also, Tonya, not to interrupt you, but I think it's imperative to speak right there on the behalf of what you're speaking, is also the fact that us necessarily that work wasn't actually being called work either. Like when they had you rake the yard from the back to the front, like in case somebody threw some powder in your yard or to try to hot foot you or something like that. Like I'll rake that yard. Yes, but we didn't call it. It was just part of the culture. It was part of who we were.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well,
Yes, it was a chore. Right, exactly. And so it was work. We're doing the work, but necessarily a lot of the old school workers didn't call everything a job or working. You know, my grandmother, like I was raised with the chicken's foot by the door and the upside down horseshoe above the door and the Native American corn on the table, you know. And those are all cultural components, yes, but they're very strong spiritual aspects and work itself. You know, like the Native American corn. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example because I don't think this is being taught or out there very often. Like a Native American corn. I don't like the word Indian. So even though a lot of people, even in my own family would say Indian corn, I say Native American. Native American corn. You know, I think it's getting more difficult. It's highly expensive, not only due to the COVID right now, but it's went up over the years. Believe me. And stuff, you know. But Native American corn, I would listen to the stories. I would listen to the stories because I was inquisitive, and being able to be blessed to see and ask questions and raised with the culture, you know. So the Native American corn, a lot of people do not know what the spiritual significance of the corn was, and I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, right? It's multicolored and it has the beautiful stuff.
I used to call it candy corn, and I would try to bite it and break a tooth on it.
It was. I never tried to bite it.
I tried to bite it all the time.
I'm like, I don't know about
Thank
that.
God, Shishi. Thank God. Oh, damn, Tonya, I'm surprised you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't need any dentures at an early age trying to bite that stuff.
I got 3 teeth in my mouth right now.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So the Native American corn, corn.
It sat on the table or wherever they put it forever. So why would you eat the corn? You know, it was like when you go to your grandma's house and the candy's so old and they pick it up and it's like a big chunk of it. I mean, that's kind of like how the corn was.
I was determined. I was a determined child.
It sounds like you were very determined. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't recall ever personally trying to bite the corn, and ay Dios mío, por favor. Gracias por todos. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, that mi boca, like my teeth, my mouth. I was like, oh no, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, caca. But the Native American corn, the primary use spiritually for the Native American corn would be actually, you know how it has the ridges. Corn has the ridges within it, and then the seasonal change of course the colors would represent certain spirits, and it would also represent aging and wisdom by the changing of the colors. Okay, but also the most important component of Native American corn would actually be to catch a trick, because it has a hard way of working its way through the ridges of the corn in order to hit you, in order for you to get hit with a trick. The trick has to work its way through the corn and through the seasons and through the wisdom first in order for you to get hit with a trick to
I
be
didn't know that. I
prosthetic.
knew it was for protection, but I didn't know the whole story behind it. That's interesting.
And
Yes,
you tried
ma'am. Up, sister.
you tried to eat that protective corn.
I tried to make it easy for them to cut through the ridges. That's
I know. Look, that big old gap there. Things were just seeping in.
I got a couple of kernels
What too
out.
much?
I got a couple of kernels out.
Hey, we dropping some gems though tonight. We're dropping.
I was trying to get the kernels out. I got hit in the head. It's hard as y'all know the corn. That corn is hard. You get knocked in the head.
It is.
It hurt. So I'm like, I don't know what made you think you could bite it.
I don't know. You know what? I like that colorful popcorn now. The ones with all the different flavors. That is like my shit. I guess back in the days, I thought that's what you could do with the Native American corn. Was that you would pop it and get all these amazing colors. I knew it was for protection. And that's probably why I got hit in the head a couple of times, because they was like, you messing with the protection.
Yes.
For Lynna sitting in the
Same
back
here.
like a mob boss.
So Alyssa
And the chicken's
said
foot.
they used to make dolls from the husks and hang them on the doors outside for protection.
It's true. They still do
That's very true.
And even
it's for prosperity also. Corn is.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had a cousin that would kill all these chickens, and every time you would go to her house, she would have just chicken feet hanging all. We used to think she was a serial killer. Everybody hated. All the kids hated going to her house.
Oh, I bet.
Chicken feet in the gumbo, chicken feet in the etouffee, chicken feet hanging from the. It was ridiculous. We were traumatized.
But look at you now.
I know, and I got chicken feet all over my goddamn house. I turned into the crazy woman.
Hey, but the chicken's feet, I think they're, believe it or not, y'all, I mean, correct me and tell me your opinions. I believe they're underestimated. I believe they're underestimated as far as a working talisman. They're they're powerful. And like I said, back to being raised with it, hanging by the door. Yes. Did you work this one, Tonya? That's beautiful.
You know what?
Absolutely amazing.
Got this one. Let me get it in where's the damn cam? I'm like, where's the damn website? I actually got this from Yvette Wyatt, the Motown witch. Now, my sister
She's lovely.
Sierra did some beautiful ones that literally.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I have 6 hanging up. So when people come over, all they do, I turned into the crazy cousin. I have chicken feet dangling all over my house. And
it's hard.
Beautiful one. She even has like a rainbow one for Pride. I don't know. It's just amazing ones.
They really are. And chicken's feet, like being raised with the chicken's foot. Also, not only by the door though. I remember learning about chicken's feet as an early child in Conjure because, well, the way that I mentioned white medicine earlier. So, as a Conjure worker myself, I'm a 2-headed root worker, and we all know this very clearly. But as far as chicken's feet specifically, or rooster's claw, chicken's foot specifically, I only use them personally on the right hand. I only use them. I know very randomly. I think that it can be used on the left hand to lay tricks on somebody, but that's not the way that I was personally brought up or taught with the chicken's foot. So with the chicken's foot as well, it was very common. Like several people actually, would keep them above the rearview mirror to keep your car from being stolen or to ward off negative from being in accidents, to scratch negative off headed your way. So they're very powerful, they're very potent, and well used. I actually have a couple myself, and that have been blessed and worked for me as well. So absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
the new way, because back in the days we had just natural chicken feet. There was no painting the nails. There was no decorations, no crystals. I mean, these are beautiful because these are more modern interpretations of it. But it used to be literally you went somewhere and it was like, chop off the chicken foot, hang it up. And that's what you saw as a kid. You just saw, poor chickens being mutilated. So it was a different time.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't think they really believed in modernizing it or making it pretty. They were definitely more after the usage of it.
Exactly. It was. You're right. It was for what it did.
Totally, and that would go back to as well. Speaking of which, that would go back to as well a lot of, as you mentioned, how times have changed. But speaking about foundations and true traditions, they did what they had to do when they had to do it, and as far as making things look pretty, or no, not at all. Not at all. A lot of things in Conjure, in old school Conjure, are not pretty. We didn't have time to worry about making nothing like look the best. It was about the spiritual. It was about the intent and the will and the prayers that go over your work, and more so than a lot of the new school component. I'm not trying to knock nobody. Y'all get on me. Y'all get on me. Because a lot of people tell me I hate a lot of people tell me that I'm so old school and I'm kind of stern with being old school, and I am, and I'll admit it. I am. I'm not much on. I'm not much on a lot of the new school or the new age. A lot of that. I call it, well, frankly, if I may, hi everybody, YouTube world and everybody. If I may, I'm just gonna put it straight out and honest. I call it a bunch of bullshit. A lot of that mixed matched everything. No, that's problematic, and I think that a lot. That's why we see people nowadays. Somebody gonna take a course. I've taken Mama Star's Blackhawk courses before, but I didn't turn around in a week and therefore start a YouTube channel and trying to teach about Blackhawk myself, or different things such as that. And that's too much fuckery. Too much fuckery with that nowadays. People call a lot of things that it's really not. So I think that's needs to be emphasized and totally and totally made aware of what the foundations. We can't forget the true foundations of Conjure, whether any of the 6 southern primary southern folk magic traditions, whether we're talking about Ozark, powwow, granny women, Appalachian Conjure, southern hoodoo, all the primary forms of southern folk magic, and we need to remember where we come from.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with being old school. I feel like a lot of people who are old school feel like a lot of the new school things, they miss the point and the purpose of why things are done. But I also feel like a lot of people who do a lot of old school stuff feel like people were trying to make it more palatable so that it didn't seem so frightening for other people as well. And so then it becomes trendy instead of the spiritual purpose for what it's worth, supposed to be. So
well spoken, Swin. Well spoken, absolutely.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree.
Traditional root oils don't have smells to them. Or if they do have a smell to them, it's not roses, it's not lavender, it's not any of these.
Smell great all the time.
Yeah, back in the days, you used to buy oil and you would open it up and be like, "Woo!" because it was potent, but not for the reason.
Oh no!
Reason of it smelling good. But the thing always is the intent of the oil. Now, a lot of people with allergies and aesthetics nowadays, they don't want oils like that. They want to be able, if there's an attraction oil, they don't want it to smell like gasoline. They want it to smell like roses.
Right.
So root workers are having to adapt to, because spirituality right now is $1 million business. Anybody can throw a headband on and glitter makeup and be, mama root so. We see it in the community, and some people just aren't spirit filled, but they know how to work a Cash App, they know how to work Square payment, they know how to work PayPal. There's people in the backwoods that you go back there, they will pick up a bit of cow shit, throw it in a bottle, add some olive oil to it, pee in it, spit in it, shake it up, and give it to you. And that's your remedy. That's your remedy. So all this other stuff that people get in, not saying that it can't work, because I believe it's in the power of the worker. I'm all for it. If you want to throw glitter in it and that means something to you, then you have to work it the way it means to you. Because we have to merge sometimes with what we have. With what we have.
Yeah. When I started practicing, I was always told, like, you are your greatest asset. And the lady told me, she's like, if you have to walk in the woods and all you have is a twig and some salt, you better make it happen with a twig and some salt. And I was okay. And so, I mean, really, honestly, I think sometimes we go through very extreme measures to get one thing done, when sometimes what we need done is very simplistic.
Yeah.
And doesn't require all the steps.
The slaves didn't have 30 days to work a work. Mm-mm. If a master was going to beat you and you knew the beating was going to come, you picked up dirt, you picked up twigs, and you said prayers to your nature spirits. You communed with what was available. And there's nothing wrong with us doing a little bit more nowadays, because we don't have that same urgency with our magic. We're able to be a little bit more leisurely and creative with it. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I do agree, we can't forget the roots of a conjure person that grew up in, like Shishi's saying, whether you have children or not, whether you have god kids, at some point, you want to keep this lineage going. You want to pass the knowledge down. So they have to understand the old ways, and they can incorporate the new ways with it. That would be completely up to them.
I look at passing it down like a language, because so many languages, Sophie, you're nerving me. So many languages have died. I think there was a certain speaker of a Native American language. He was the last speaker. And there was a guy who worked with languages. He was a college student, and he went and he stayed with this man for like 2 years just to be able to notate this language so it wouldn't die. And that's how I look at lineage, lineage and magic. It's a language. And sometimes when that last person who knows it dies, there is no more.
Yeah, you can't, there's nothing you can do. Absolutely.
Unless, like, the person who's studying or choosing to continue on with that lineage, like a few years after, like me, where my family left it, now here's me, then you have to commune with the dead, spirits to hope that you can get everything right. And so then it's going to be me writing it down for whoever else may be after me.
Yeah, that's true. And then,
very
I have children that Jazz probably wants to learn more now. Jordan has no interest in it. So sometimes, you will have practitioners that will not have biological children. Right. They will take in God kids, and that is because they have to. Like you say, family doesn't necessarily have to be blood. Sometimes you're adopted into a spiritual family so that you can pass things down because this person wants to continue that line or that lineage. So I feel like we're blessed. We're living in an age where if the knowledge is there and we want to share it, we can.
That is true.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
So as a root worker, what would you suggest to people who say are looking for someone to do work? Because we're coming in a time right now where we have things going on in the spiritual community where people went and spent money, tons of money on a person, and they didn't get what they thought because the person wasn't, they didn't have that knowledge. So, and this goes all the way across the board. This is not one particular tradition. We see this in everything from witchcraft to voodoo to hoodoo, conjure workers and everything. what would you suggest to people who are looking for a worker?
As a professional worker that has clients, that does work for clients as a living, I must say genuinely that to check the person's morals and ethics, definitely ask a ton of questions before you would ever hire a worker or anybody to do any kind of spiritual work for you at all. And as hold on. And so, sorry guys, that's another 911 at the door. So, anyway, the thing is, as I was saying, the thing is that I must say that before to check the morals and credentials of any worker that you want to hire to do work, to have a realistic expectation of the work as well. As a worker, I do say that it is when I'm hired to do a job, and all my things are on the spot, custom made. I whip up a dolly if it's necessary. I whip up a coffin box if necessary. It's all on the spot, verbatim. I don't keep a lot of the things like that pre-made. I make it per client as is, situation per situation. So on that note, I must say as well that ethically to keep it in check, to make sure that before personally, I find that a lot of people do not do the proper divination first. I don't think the people do the proper divination to make sure that the work is justified, because as you mentioned about Cash App and PayPal and those workers, such as a lot of people don't give two shits, and they're just going to, regardless if it's justified work or not, take in the client. So morally and ethically, make sure that your worker absolutely has credentials, has the ask around. I would absolutely say I would advise somebody to ask around and to double check, because frankly, like for instance, yesterday I had two clients, recurring clients, personal clients, messaged me that they'd gotten into some fuckery from, and it's precisely to answer your brilliant question. It's an excellent example because I honestly, had to correct the wrongs, meaning the fact that other workers weren't ethical. They just jumped to the gun without doing divination, without seeing whether or not it was okay for that particular worker to intercede on the behalf of a client. And on the other end, a client must necessarily know as well that we are not Bondo. That after we do the work, I put it in God's hands. I put it in the hands of the ancestors and in spirit. I can intercede, and I do a whole lot of variety of work. I mean, a large variety of work. And I intercede, but I very much so make it clear the fact that you as a worker, you're definitely morally, in my opinion, obligated to say this is now in the hands of spirit. You can do your part. The client has to do, of course, their part. But in the end, it's the will of God. It's the will of the spirits and the ancestors.
That is so true. A lot of people, I think, don't understand it, but you definitely have to connect with spirit, and they have a right to say no.
Yes.
If you don't want to participate in the work, there's nothing you can do. So I agree with you. I would say the divination, probably you're right, is something that you need to do if you're going to intercede. You need to know where you stand in the midst of that.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an experience where spirit rejected the work?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. Absolutely.
Yeah, Lynna is driving. I have to text her. Okay, there we go.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely, sister. I absolutely, and not only rejected the work, but as far as the backwash that I actually got, especially as a younger worker, especially when you're younger and have less years of experience. With my age, definitely, I definitely have with experience acquired, in my personal journey, I've definitely acquired a lot of wisdom due to work and due to the experiences such as. And to answer your question, absolutely, I I've got a spiritual ass whipping a few times because I didn't therefore at a younger age I didn't necessarily just give it to spirit, and I more or less, of course, we was all young ones, so younger ones, and the thing is that in the younger years, I definitely got a spiritual ass whipping a few times because I I was more keen to do work more freely, not monetary wise, but more freely without doing all the proper divination steps or developing as much as you do morally or ethically uh, to where I am definitely now.
You were
So
just excited. You were excited
absolutely,
to do the work. I think a lot of people are like that when they start their practice off. It's like, oh my God, I can do love work. I can do money work. And you get
yeah,
excited.
Yeah.
yes,
So I think everybody, we've all been there where, divination wasn't the forefront or the first thought. But as you do get older and you realize the consequences of actions, whether it's spirit or whether it's something that you have to deal with, it does affect the work. It definitely does affect the work.
yes, it does. Yes, it absolutely does. As well as I believe that work itself, it's very imperative. Shishi as well from being a beautiful eclectic witch. Maybe you could perhaps speak on this as well. Um, I do believe as well that when you do work and put it out in God's hands, therefore then you pretty much you know you have to develop the knowledge of per se, like when the work is done, it's done, and let spirit
You
come
kind of surrender.
come in that point and do the higher calling, do what the job was meant to do. And Shishi, as far as being an eclectic witch, I believe that morally or ethically we could look at things and the perspectives of how that could come into play there, such as I know that you neither, I don't mean to speak for all of us, but us or Lynna, hi Lynna, I hope you're still there, I don't see you, but
Yeah.
so I know that all of us being we're not Wiccan. So the thing is like a lot of times a lot of people have to look at the work after it's done and go, okay, well, morally or ethically, that comes with age too. That comes with age a lot as well because you don't just want to jump into something. You don't want to just jump into something and be all gung ho and ready to fuck somebody up just because you're in the moment. Because I
Yeah.
have learned the hard way. I've learned the hard way about acting too impulsively
Yeah.
or jumping into things without considering the consequences in the long run. I think that that's a very big life lesson. I think that
I
it's a
think
huge life lesson.
I think when you're doing a spell, like for me, it was I was doing a spell, a baneful spell, and I forgot one important step. Actually, I didn't know it was an important step. It was like three important steps, and yeah, everything that was happening to that person happened to me as well because I didn't cut the cords correctly, so it would only happen to that person. It was not fun. It was not good.
Oh,
I was like, I'm glad
yeah.
it's on him, but now I'm getting my ass kicked too. So I had to like fix that spell up on my side, which in the end it fixed it up on this other person's side too. But I think,
Yes.
you know, when we're doing any type of working, the hard part for most people is like once you're done with the working, then it comes to the surrender, the having to let it go and saying, you know, what will be will be, in its own weird way. But then also looking, you know, of course you're going to read your candle or whatever, you know, tools you use for the spell. But that's why I rarely do work for people, because a lot of people, when you do work for them, don't understand that. They
Absolutely.
don't understand that once you do it, it's out of your hands. But then they also want to call you every hour to see if anything's changed.
Totally.
Yeah, especially with love work. With
Yeah.
love work is crazy.
And I,
Yes. I just absolutely love work is it's interesting that you to the lead way to use love work as an example, because personally, now I'm not, of course it's confidentiality. Confidentiality clauses here. I'm not going to name the clients and names and all this, but like I had a client per se 2 months ago that sought through the divination through wanted a consultation, so of course I do divination, and with the divination process I saw that it primarily had to do with someone's love life. The lady wrote me about the only bad review that I've had to actually delete off my business page. And so I got a bad review because the lady was so persistent that I saw the fact that in the reading, honestly, I saw the fact that in the reading that per se, it would be justified to do revenge work on the particular ex or person that the client was separated from. However, it wasn't justified to do reconciliation work. And the lady was so persistent, and she's in the medical field, and so she you're so right, because she was so persistent. I mean, like a good 2 weeks, message after message, persisting. Well, I can save up money. I want reconciliation work. I want a different type of work, and that's not what I saw that was justified. That's not what I saw that was justified, nor in the lady's best interest. So, and she says, "Well, I'll save up $500. How much? How much?" Kept on persistent. How much? How much? Persistently. And here's the simple answer to that. My simple answer to the lady is that my spirits nor I take dirty money. I don't take dirty money. If it's not justified, and if it's not in per se what I see that could be aligned, and you know how readings are. We all have free will. Is the future ever really set in stone? That could be another topic for Tea and Tarot or a whole other show, couldn't it?
That's true.
But
stone.
but the thing is that I didn't see that was the most probable outcome, and I absolutely saw that, so the lady, no, the simple answer is no, is that I don't, me nor my spirits take dirty money, because that's no, that's just morally or ethically, and my stance is no. And I do believe therefore I would have reaped what I sowed times 10, because I would not have been, that $500 would have put me $5,000 in debt sooner or later.
Right.
Because it wasn't justified. It just simply clearly wasn't justified.
You have to be a special kind of stupid to bully and harass a worker. Because if you come to my box and you calling me 5 times a day, first of all, don't do that. I don't even like when my notifications go off that much on my phone. I get very irritated. So I think that's why there's certain people I divine on it, and I see that the person is mentally unstable, or there's going to be a challenge there. As a worker, you have every right to decline the work, because like you say, not all money is good money, especially when you have somebody that needs to be in therapy more than they actually need the work.
Right.
Yes.
And that's very hard to tell people, because they don't want to hear that when they're in the midst of something. They want to hear that you can fix it, but they don't want to deal with the other issues that are going on with them that will become your issue if you decide to take the work on. So we have to be very true to ourselves too.
Yes.
I think it's
Yes,
really
and I think another thing that I think is imperative, as far as something we briefly touched on a little bit ago, as well. It's also imperative. I see, like, me having to correct other people's wrongs. Like, as far as the people reaching out to me yesterday. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. That person proclaimed to be a reader. The person proclaimed to be a worker, and what have you. However, the thing is that with work, you don't speak something as if it will happen. You speak something as it already is. You don't have doubts from the start. That's imperative. That's a hard life lesson for myself, and I'm sure other people as well. But you absolutely from the start, you have to have faith or in yourself. So absolutely, Tonya, absolutely, because without that, oh wow, it's a shame. It's a shame that where some of the things that under the guise of that $1 billion a year spiritual business. So, and I'm sure like you lovely goddesses as well. Before I ever I did readings for most of my life. I've only been charging professionally for readings for since 2008 or 9, and that's after a life-changing experience that I had. And actually, I consulted with Judica Illis, as we know, the author and the editor at Red Wheel Wiser Books, and due to the lovely conversation that I had with Miss Judica, she advised me from that point on, Rob, you're out of balance because you're giving, and people are taking, and you're out of balance, and you have a gift, and people will absolutely walk up and, under the name of God or any other thing, absolutely try to suck you dry if you allow it to happen. It was a really big life lesson to me. That really changed my entire life. Really, the whole reason behind why I actually had to consult with Miss Judica Illis, and I was honored and humbled. I never really expected a defined answer. I thought it was a candle lit in the wind, gonna blow out any damn second. It ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? This lady, she busy. I read her book. I loved her book. And Tony, I know you own a copy. Shishi, I think you do as well. I have a copy over here of
Yeah, Lynna has one too.
I think mine is the 1,000. I think mine is a downgrade or something though. Mine's not the 5,000. The Encyclopedia 5,000 spells. Mine's the 1,000 something of it.
Which one do you have?
I have 2. I have her 5,000, but I also have her book of spirits and everything else and mystical creatures.
Yeah.
That one is hard.
She also has a book about symbols and stuff as well.
Yeah, the symbols.
I have the 5,000 elements and spells, and I also have the 5,000 symbols and sigils and stuff like that.
Right. She's amazing. I absolutely highly, not to, we could name drop, y'all know we could name drop all night and all that other stuff, but I'll try not to. But anyway, Judica Illis is amazing, and I love her work, and I love her as far as an individual. Anytime that I've actually reached out to Miss Judica Illis, she's been more than what's the right word? Como se dice? What do you say? She's been
accommodating.
accommodating. Thank you, Lynna. And she's a beautiful soul. And so after the incident that I had is really when I started professionally charging, and it was largely in part due to a couple experiences. And Judica said, "Hey, Rob, you know, you really need to step it up, but you really need to charge." So, and I mean, and we pay it forward. That's part of the reason why that I highly admire and respect all three of you and our tribe that we have here. I'm sure many are watching. I think Chaz, Elissa, Jasmine, Mambo, Sierra. Hi, everybody. Shout outs. Much love to everybody. That's why I admire and love every single one of you all, is because it's not, yeah, we have clients, but it's not about, in the end of the day, we've done this way longer than we're more worried about the money than what we're more worried about the dinero, the money, so
Jet said that
again
she
that
had.
comes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Shishi. The volume went down and I couldn't hear you.
No, I said go ahead. I was gonna read what Jed had said, but go ahead.
No, you please go ahead. Jed said
that Judica did an occult masterclass on spirit communication, and they talked for like 2 hours. I didn't know she was teaching classes.
Are you talking about
Judica.
Did you say occult master class
on spirit communication?
Like with the
she did.
Yes, I saw the advertisement. Yes.
Nice.
I didn't take the class. That's not appropriate for this interview, and
it's okay.
That's more of a personal message. Anyhow, so yes, but I would recommend Judica Illis anything that along with a few other folk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I shouldn't even get started. Hey, I'm just gonna say, being that Mama Star is Mama Star, the one and only Mama Star. I mean, I owe mad props and much love, and I highly refer and recommend anybody to check out Mama Star Cassis. And
yeah, she's gonna be on the show next week.
What? This show?
Yes.
Oh, what? Oh my God, I'm so thrilled. I am so thrilled. Wow. Oh, that's amazing. I love Mama Star. You guys have really rocked it lately. Like I said at the beginning, and to have me on, I'm in such great company. Many blessings, Ashe, and that's amazing. I'm so I can't wait. You all know I tune in every week. So yeah, Mama Star, out there world, everybody, please check her out. Her grand opening to Mama Star Styles over in Tonya's hood and Lynna's hood, more or less. Not Shishi and I. We're not in Texas, but as of yet. So
listen, we're not gonna turn you away.
Oh, of course not. I plan on it too.
It's always hot in Texas. But if I come visit, I'm getting margaritas.
Put on your mask and come on down.
She said, but hey, twin, did you hear that, twin? She said, Sister Lynna said, make sure you put on the damn mask, though. Don't be bringing none of that. Don't be bringing no. She said, don't be bringing any Virginia, Kentucky crud.
I need to have a special mask because it's hot in Texas, and you already have to do shallow breathing. I'd be like, oh God, I'm a diver in this Texas heat.
Drama queen, drama.
I'm like, ah.
And look, I can't come your way because it's too damn cold.
I know. See, and I prefer the cold. I like the 4 seasons. So I'm like, how is Texas hot and hotter? Like, it's always hot.
Like, is it?
You can come down. Winter
February. We get about 2 weeks of cold.
No, it was hot.
So it's only cold that one time in February?
I know, right? That one time. And then your butt cheeks are melting.
It's Texas.
Butt cheeks just melting your jeans. I was like,
We
and
call
then
it sweat.
I'm like, why are you wearing boots? It is ass hot out here. How do you even have on top of why?
We literally wear flip flops year round. Flip flops. And you
wow.
Wow. Yeah, it gets 50 degrees and we swear we're dying.
Look, I got a sweatshirt on now.
Oh God.
You got a sweatshirt on, but hold on, wait a second. You got a sweatshirt on.
It's probably 80 degrees where she's at now.
80 degrees.
Here's the thing though, in Texas we wear sweats, but we know what an AC is for. And it's cold with the AC on.
The first time I went to Texas, it was like you get in the car, you're like, ooh, AC, get out of the car, hot, 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 in the building, ooh, AC, sitting there for a little bit, going back outside, hot, 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 hot.
Yeah, it's definitely bipolar. But the only thing makes it bipolar though is the AC, because we literally don't have a winter down here. Very rarely do we have a winter.
And my sister's back here, and she's like, I can't believe I have to deal with the winter. I don't want it. I refuse to have a winter. I'm like, no. I love it. I'm like, give me a blizzard. Yeah. Give it to me.
You remember that time it snowed? I think it was February 1st, 1982.
Okay, Lynna, I was one. No, I don't remember when it was.
Kentucky has beautiful weather, though.
Thank you. Yeah. The Kentucky weather, let me tell you something, sis. Let me tell you something about Kentucky. You just wait. If you're not happy at the beginning of the week, you will be at the end of the week. Like it is crazy. It is crazy in Kentucky, the weather. I'm astounded, and I'm a native, well, let me just say I was born in Kentucky and I live in Kentucky again. So the thing is Kentucky is seriously, I think that Mother Earth here is bipolar as shit. Like, because this week alone, here it is, it went from the high of Monday was 80, and then now it's in the low 50s, and it's down to the freezing mark, 32, all within the week, all within 1 week. And I'm like, it's extreme. I mean, like, it's extreme. And Kentucky, honestly, as far as the weather as well, I find that, of course, just like Texas, probably, or any other, well, Kentucky's a Commonwealth, so, but I was going to say in any other state. But per se, like, you run into the large variety of climate or weather changes, because again, over in eastern Kentucky, is more the Appalachian Mountains. So with the mountain range, it varies. It varies quite a bit, honestly. I honestly, as far as the weather, something that, in reference back to Conjure, a lot of times the way that we predict the weather was also just part of the culture. We looked at things such as how far up in the tree that a squirrel's nest would actually be, or the color of woolly worms, to see how extensive or intense a snow would be, and things like that. So that's a lot of the cultural component of being raised with Conjure as well. It's really in depth and pretty cool. Actually, it's really cool. I really love it. I'm actually really proud of the fact that to have that installed within and to have the blood that runs through my blood, the bone that runs through my bone, and the soil that runs through my soil.
Nice.
Any parting remarks of what would you leave people with?
What would I leave people with?
Yeah, what do you want people to know that you haven't already expressed in your interview? What would you leave people with?
I would leave people with this. Last thoughts that I would leave people with. Okay, so I'm gonna go with it. This is what I think the last thoughts that I would leave people with. Honestly, I think it's important to express the fact that you know, always be humble. Never let your ego step in and override and make a jackass out of yourself, because we see it in the so-called community often. So it's a very important lesson in life to always remember not only where you come from, but where you're headed to, and to be humble in the process. To always be humble and to serve your spirits. A lot of people can talk a talk, but they don't walk the walk. So I feel it's very imperative for people to actually, if you're gonna talk this talk and proclaim to be somebody or something, be real. Keep it real with yourself first, and keep it real with other folk. And have faith. And have faith. Have faith in your higher power, your spirits that you serve and that walk with you. Ashe.
Ashe, Ayi Bobo. That was beautiful.
Ayi Bobo.
Yes. And how do people get in touch with you, Rob?
Thank you so much, Lynna. You can reach me on my business page. It's easier. I'm very selective about my social media outlets at this point, because I like to weed my gardens. I like to weed the garden a lot. I like to keep the snakes out the garden. So, so it's easier to reach me on my business page, which is Mystical Mojo, mystical with a K. Mojo. You can reach me on my business page on Facebook as well as Instagram, Mystical Mojo 13. And I do, like we mentioned, I do a large variety of divination as well as spiritual workings, conjure work for clients as well. I do have a couple other events coming up as well, and I'm going to be releasing. You all get the official announcement. I will have a small product line as well coming out, so I'm quite excited about that. Gonna start off small. Don't want the same shit that everybody else is offering. I want quality products uh, with the real true intentions put forth and therefore in the product. And so I'm quite excited about that as well.
Awesome. You're going to have to come back maybe like next month or something and show everybody what you got.
I'm sorry, we cut out a little. I only heard show what we got.
I was saying you have to come back maybe next month and show everybody what products you have and things.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would be very grateful for such an opportunity. Thank you so much. My current project that I'm actually currently working on right here is I've been making a lot of cascarilla powder. I'm actually I have my railroad spikes right here next to me, getting ready to set those to the Ogu and do the whole proper ritual with the Ogu to set the railroad spikes for wards and protection, and I have several things. Going on. So
that sounds amazing.
That's exciting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love every single one of you all. Thank you so much for having me on. I will see everybody soon, and if I may as well, catch us all. We have so many gifted readers in our tribe that we've accumulated. So please, everybody, check out everybody else. Much love and gratitude. And as well, I offer as a pay it forward donation based, not the fact saying that you have to donate. Just saying, I gladly accept love donations. Just putting it out there. I do Facebook Lives on Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern as a way to hopefully, hopefully, offer some insight and help some souls along the way. Be
That's great.
blessed. I hope you all have a blessed evening.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, and I look forward to it. I look forward to the next time. I look forward to seeing all of you very soon. And yes, I'm so excited. Tune in next week, everybody. Tonya, Shishi, Lynna. Well, I know that. Well, I'm just gonna say, Mama Star is gonna be on. I can't even wait. I can't even wait. I'm so thrilled. I am so thrilled. I love you all.
I love you too.
Be blessed.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.